I'm like, guys. I've got removable markers. I will go back afterwards and place them. It doesn't feel like it's plied. I'm just talking nonsense now and I don't know super fast. And so, and so, hello, welcome to Knitting the Blues. My name is Yewande. It's so great to just, come into the space and connect. If you're someone who keeps returning to this channel, then thank you for being here. If you're new and you just clicked to see, what's this about? Really warm welcome to you. I hope it's interesting what you find here and that you stick around. I wanted to talk about a few things. Maybe before we jump into everything, I'll say I don't know if I've ever talked about what I'm wearing. I may have, but it does, you know, it's worth a second mention. I'm wearing this dress which has felt like my summer uniform. I live in South Africa, I live in Johannesburg, and this dress is perfect for the kind of weather we've been having for the last couple of days. It's 100% cotton. The fabric was actually a gift from a friend of mine. She traveled to Nigeria and she wanted to make something up for me out of this fabric, but didn't have enough time. So she just bought the fabric, and she knows that I have a machine. And so she said, well, here's the fabric. And she must have given this to me years ago, and it just sat there folded in the cupboard. I have a machine. I'm not bad with the machine. I'm not particularly skilled as a sewist. I'm not bad. I can read a pattern and I can get on with it. It feels much more like labor than my knitting does, so I don't do it. It's not a hobby, let me put it that way. I did it when my kids were young and I wanted to make the bed sheets myself. I sewed them up. When I made them clothes as well when they were young and couldn't comment on what I was putting them in. I don't think they would agree to wear anything I made. Now, maybe that's not fair. They love that they have a maker mom, so they might. But when I was just trying to be expedient and efficient and not buy overpriced clothing, and I knew I could make really good quality clothing, I made things for them when they were young. But and I will mend something, or if I had to, I'd pull it out and do something. Like recently, I'm making the Zukanye dress by Numan Ndlovu, and I decided, well, I'm just gonna do the pockets on the machine, which I did. It was perfectly fine. Um, but so it just sat there for years, and then a dear friend of mine, who is also a crafter, and she's an excellent crocheter, but she's very, very gifted with the machine. Um, I don't know if she offer to make. She'd made something and I admired it, or I have in the past bought a few. She makes things professionally and sells her items. I think she goes by the handle Bushbok threads. I'm not sure how active she is there now because she does a lot of other things as well. But she had a period where she was really like making and taking orders, and I have the odd skirt she's made. Anyway, I got a summer dress. I got a summer frock out of this, and it's very beautiful. It's very spacey, exactly how I like it. It's not sticking to me. A lot of air can flow. It's got this beautiful detail here, which I think is really nice. And the fabric is absolutely the kind of colors I want to wear. So I usually put this thing on. Like if I see what the weather's doing, sometimes we have cooler days, but if I see the weather is going in the direction of heat, I put this on. And and it's kind of, you could wear some heels with that and look sophisticated, or you could wander around the garden and look perfectly fine as well. So that's what I'm wearing. Um, and also, I may as well say two things before I go into anything else. So this is what I've been working on. I have quite a few whips. You may have seen a recent podcast of mine from last week where I went crazy and cast on, well, I attempted to cast on six new projects. I cast on three, and I have since cast on another. So I'm making the Lento sweater. Um, my gauge was completely different, so I had to do math, and people helped me in the comments. Anyway, I cast on for a size 9, I think. Just need to check. And I've started with the neck. It's a fiddly beginning to the Lento, at least for me. It's a fiddly beginning because you begin with this quite exquisite. I mean, it's worth it. Double collar. Um, anyway, it's done. I know maybe you think it looks small. I've tried it. It does fit around my head. It does. And I just look how awesome that is going to be when it's done. I know this is not much, but this was the second time. I just need to say, I false starts. I'm a bit of a false starts person. I'm just loving knitting this color. It brings me so much joy each time I reach for it. I'm knitting it in fingering weight, superwash, 100% merino. It's hand dyed by a local hand dyer in this absolutely incredible. He said oxblood, and I think that's accurate. Maybe that's a bit offensive. I hope that's not offensive to the vegans amongst us, but it is what it is, right? So there you go. I mean, look at that. Gosh. So I was determined to get through this weekend, and I've managed to. Next, you start. I didn't. You might be, if you know the lento, you're like, oh, where are your markers for the raglan? I'm going to put it in afterwards. I mean, they have you joining these two sides because you start with a cast on, a provisional cast on, right? So they have you then joining the two sides and putting the markers. I'm like, guys, I've got removable markers. I will go back afterwards and place them. I'm not, So that's that. Very excited about it. And the next thing you start doing is short rows in the back, and and then you do your raglan, and I'm enjoying it very much. I'm knitting it on. I'm knitting it actually on 4mm needles. I'll use this. It's a bit short, but I don't mind bunched up. So that, and the last little public service announcement is that I talked in my last podcast about making washcloths. And so here's the latest one that I'm working on with this beautiful yarn from, I bought it at Provisions Kenya in Nairobi. It's locally made cotton yarn. It's very beautiful. I will say it's difficult to work with. I was trying to work out why. I almost don't have the knowledge. I, so it, it winds up on itself a lot, right? When you're working, that might be because I have quite a high spin in my technique. But it winds up, and it's this. I wonder if it also has something to do with the spin. I think you'd say this is loosely spun. It's not. I don't. It doesn't feel like it's plied. I'm just talking nonsense now, and I don't know. Let me see how I can do this. Like if I turn it a little bit, then you see all the strands of the cotton, right? A little bit of turning, and you see the strands. So it's not. This is a layperson's thing, but I feel like it's not tightly plied, would be the word. I don't know if that has anything to do with the experience I have, but I'm loving the beautiful color. And I have two other balls in equally beautiful colors, that I will definitely want to work with. I'm not loving the experience. I'm kind of happy it's such a short project. It's just a little square washcloth, and that I'll be done soon, and then I might not do it again for a while. I'm making about 20 of these, or maybe 10 and 10 of another pattern. It's the all washed up, free wash towel pattern. It's on Ravelry if you look it up. But the real exciting thing is this thing knits up super fast. And so, and so, so I'm just loving having these little items. And a friend of mine popped in for dinner, and she saw me. She's like, washcloths? That's like nice yarn. How can that be washcloths? I mean, it's to have a beautiful, luxurious thing. You could do anything with that. I mean, the idea is I'm going to make many of these and have them in a bag. And when I meet my extended family on a family holiday, many people I'll be meeting for the first time, cousins and distant cousins and so on. These are family of my husband's side. I'll just say, hey, anybody who appreciates handmade items, I've made a bunch of stuff, pick the color that you like, and what could you do with this? It's very beautiful. And this is my own amendment, by the way. I just put a crochet hook at the end because I think that's lovely, and you can just hang it anywhere. There's nowhere here, but you could just, and so it's kind of beautiful. You could just put that up in your bathroom to have a little bit of beauty hanging there. But it's cotton. It's 100% cotton. So you could use it to wash your face if you felt like being luxurious. And because of the excellent texture in this pattern, you could really, it almost gives you a bit of an exfoliation effect. Um, it's cotton. It's really hardy. So I mean, I wondered. I don't wear makeup. I don't particularly enjoy makeup. Ooh, except my eyebrows. I've started losing my eyebrows, so I do put a bit of eyebrow pencil. But I mean, it's a nightmare taking what's that thing, base off, isn't it? I mean, it sounds sacrilegious using this to take off your base, but it's cotton. It's like any other muslin or that you might have. Maybe you could use this if you had a bit of cream and because you can wash it. It's super hardy. You can throw it in the washing machine. You can wash it at 30 degrees or whatever. I think I'll just check. These are all different yarns, by the way, so I'll just make sure that 30-degree wash is fine. But they're all 100% cotton. This was the first one I made, so just a bit of talky here. I was lazy and I didn't do a long tail cast on. I don't know. It's silly because it's not even that it's lazy. The other cast on, it takes as much energy. I just didn't feel like, and I think I paid for it because it's not a very nice thing. I'm not taking this out, I'm afraid. So it's just going to have to be how it is. Over time, I think this would get stretched out anyway, so it'll all be fine in the end. None of these are blocked yet, by the way, or washed. I'll maybe do all of them. Checking color, bleeding, and so on. I'll do all of them together when I'm done. Um, so since then, I do it properly. And so these all have the nice long tail cast on so that it's not coming out like that and it's not untidy. I agree that that's untidy. I'm not taking it out. I don't think it's necessary. I can make many more of these. I've got a bag full of yarn. I've got still a lot more of that beautiful yellow and so many other gorgeous colors. So what else am I saying? I'm also saying knitting is a bit like watching a movie or reading a book. You're doing it, it's so pleasurable. You think, I think other people should do this too. So I decided, let's have a make along, a 2026 make along. I'm calling it the Humble Washcloth Make Along 2026. I'm inviting you to join me. It's a free pattern, okay? I tell you, this is gorgeous, right? It takes no time at all. You do this in an afternoon. I think in an afternoon, distracted, listening and talking to other people, I knitted these three. I started this one and I haven't, I'll finish it soon enough and cast on another. There's another pattern that I'll also put in the description that I found that's also free. I think it's called the seed washcloth or the seed stitch cloth or something like that. It's a different pattern. And I thought, well, I'll make 10 of these in this pattern and 10 of that and have 20. And then if I had yarn left, I'll make a few pressed flower shawls. But I think that's a little bit more involved. So I'll do that. The family gathering is in July. So I have plenty of time. But I'll do that, it'd be nice to just get these done, and get them under my belt, so to speak. So join me. Let's make some washcloths. I mean, what are you going to do with the washcloth? You're either going to keep it for yourself. It could be a beautiful thing to set your little vase on, like a little vase. You could keep it in the kitchen, of course, and use it to wipe glasses or, just wipe your hand at the end of the day. You could make yours a bit longer. You can change the size as you like. So you could have a long one. What else? You could gift it to somebody. It could be like a charity knit, for an organization that might be asking for items, around hygiene and people taking care of their bodies. I'm certain you have cotton scraps lying around. I'm certain they're in all sorts of beautiful, brilliant colors. And I'm certain that you will join me with the Humble Washcloth Make Along. I say make along because there must be some crochet patterns as well. I'm not a crocheter. I know one of the wonderful supporters of this channel, Sonia, who is very skilled at Tunisian crochet and is giving a workshop. Anybody who's in Joburg at the Yarn Room, I think I'll put a little thing here now, but it's on the 7th of Feb and the 7th of March. I can't make the 7th of Feb just because of a previous arrangement, but I am going to try my best to be there on the 7th of March to start learning Tunisian crocheting and the whole project. So you don't just knit some random swatch, you knit a washcloth. I mean, you don't just Tunisian crochet a random swatch, you Tunisian crochet a washcloth. So that's just a happy happenstance that wasn't planned that the two happened like that. But you could make that your humble washcloth project and come and learn Tunisian crochet from Sonia at the yarn room. There are no dates. Let's just, I mean, what I'll do, because I've been wanting to create a Zoom. So what I'll do is create a Zoom. Oh God, my knitting needle. This one, it's so old. Can you see? I just straighten it. Doesn't matter. I'm using my straight needles because of all my cast-ons. A lot of my needles are in demand, and this is my 4 mil. I'm using 4 mil. All the yarn I'm using is DK, which I think is a good weight for washcloths. But of course, you could use whatever. What was I saying? I was in the middle of a thought and I interrupted myself. It was about the workshop, timing. Yeah, so I'll create a Zoom and we could, I've obviously cast on and I'm constantly casting on. So I'll create a Zoom and cast on with whoever wants to cast on. I don't know when the Zoom would be. Just listen out on the community kind of board of this platform or on my Instagram. Please follow me on Instagram if you're not already. I am there. I do post quite a bit, particularly updates. A lot of updates recently about my Zukanye, which is coming along wonderfully, if I say so myself. But yeah, let's do the Zoom. Maybe, I don't know. I'll organize that and look out. I suggest you subscribe. I suggest you do a little bell vibe so that you find out when I'm posting. And yeah, that it would be great to cast on with you for the Humble Washcloth Make Along. I'll also maybe post it on my Ravelry page. I haven't been super active there, but I know there are a few people there that maybe aren't on Instagram. Ooh, I'm being choked by this plant. Stop choking me. So I will post there as well, just to update. It's kind of exciting. Let's do a make along. We can do it for as long as we want. As I said, maybe we'll do it up to the holiday that I'm going on in July, because I'll be knitting them all the way through. So it's a really generous make along, lots of time. You could make several. You could give away several. That could be your gift for the year. I don't know. Let's see. So that's all I was going to talk about in terms of knitting. There's a lot of other stuff going on in the background. I'm yet to cast on my Sien sweater, but I've decided, give you a little update since we talked about this last week. I've decided not to do the red. Those are going to be the colors of the Sien. Oh my God, it's going to be gorgeous. I can't wait. And I think I will do a vlog of making this because, it's a little bit special. And I don't see a lot of, I think many people have knitted it, but I don't see a lot of vlogs on it. And, when you're making something, you like to go and look around and see what else people have done and if any podcasters have talked about it. And I found the odd person, but not a lot. So I'll make a vlog about making it and talk about the design. It's very sweet. What else can I update you on? The Patali slipover, yeah. It's in the naughty corner so soon after just being cast on, but I'll update properly. All my whips. This was just, I didn't mean to do a full update now, so it's a bit scattered. What I wanted to do was actually come here and say that you are looking at somebody who has posted 41 videos on this channel since I started. I wanted to celebrate a little bit, talk about what it's been like podcasting for, I think it's 41 weeks because I feel like I've posted almost every week. Maybe it's a little more than that, but I want to talk a little bit about that experience, what I've learned, what I find challenging, and a bit of an announcement about what's coming up and some changes with how I'm going to be managing the channel. So I have my computer here so that I can read. So I'm literally looking at my YouTube channel so that I can say, yeah, so I wanted to start with a few statistics. Okay, so So I posted my very first video, episode 1, called Knitting It Twice. It was about the Sophie shawl, Two for Tank, and Salty Days, and it was about my experience making those garments twice. I posted that. It says 6 months ago. Let me see if there's an actual date. 10th of July. I posted it on the 10th of July last year. Um, just for this one, I'll say I got 96 people commenting. 2,000, over 2,000 people, no, sorry, over 1,600 people have viewed the channel. Um, and it's weird, I don't look back obviously over the videos. It's so weird to see that. And that was the beginning of me posting videos. Because I proceeded, I think, to post a video every week. I think, give or take a week or two, I've posted every week since. And I think that is to be celebrated. I'm a mother of 2 5-year-olds. I have a full-time job. I have a side gig upon side gig upon side gig. I'm a writer, and I'm working on a manuscript. I've been working on it for a while, but it's about time that I finish. So all through that time, I've been working on my manuscript. All through that time, I haven't even told you about my side hustle, which is I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm wanting to launch a hair product for tight, curly girlies and boyos. And so in the background, I've been doing a lot of work for my business. My business is called Mighty Tighty, but it's not launched at all. It's kind of waiting in the wings, and I'm doing a lot of research actually on the product itself, because I haven't felt like I've found the right product, the right formula. So it's stalled. But I'm, this entrepreneur in the making, where I really want to launch this product for people like me who want to care for their hair naturally, but also who don't have lots of time to make little plaits at night or wake up at 2 a.m. and not trying to cast aspersions to the natural hair community, but just the kind of wash and go girl, and to have a product, botanically based gel that's locally made, so it's affordable to people in my area, to take care of our curls. So there's that. So basically, yeah, you may have picked up, I'm somebody who, I've got a lot of pots on the boil. um, Creative energy is something that, you know, gets my blood pumping. That's what has me wake up. It's what has me keep moving. And I bring creativity to everything, to my mothering, to my job. Obviously, my writing is a creative endeavor. I've brought that creative energy to this podcast. But there are many things that I create besides the podcast. And yet I've managed to post every week. I really want to celebrate that, because I think I'm somebody who doesn't always take time to acknowledge. And maybe you're the same if you're watching and listening. Maybe you're someone as well who doesn't always take time to pause amidst the frenzy of life and amidst all the things that we are accomplishing or trying to accomplish. Maybe I'll knit a bit while I'm talking, because I'm talking a lot. Didn't think I would talk a lot, but if I talk a lot, let me knit as well. But yeah, if you might not take the time to acknowledge yourself, to celebrate your accomplishments, to notice that you have tried. As we say in Nigeria, we say, you've tried. You've really tried. To acknowledge your attempts, your victories. Yes, some failures is fine as well. It's not just, just to acknowledge that you show up, and I've showed up. I've really shown up. I think I hadn't realized it, and a few times my brother, a few times my husband has commented on the fact that I've managed to do this every week, and I've kind of heard him over the last several months and not heard him, and then recently he was like, and I thought, yeah, you're right. That is. Let me take a moment to celebrate that. I always feel bad because maybe the video doesn't go out on Thursday like I promised, or it's whatever, or I didn't edit it the way I wanted, or you know. But my goodness, have I not, been quite consistent over a period of 6 months, and I think that's to be celebrated. So, okay, I'm losing I do have notes. I've gone off script. Well, I never have a script. You may have noticed, but I do have notes to help me stay a bit on track. So, So I'm taking a moment to just say that that's there. There are 41 videos. If you're new and you just happen to stumble here, there are 41 videos. Well, this would be 42. Um, I have a playlist with all the videos. Go and hang out. I don't know. Go and check them out. Maybe you like the vibe. Um, so that is the number of videos. Um, what else? What else can we say? I have, including early days, some videos where I was dyeing yarn. That still exists, my passion for dyeing yarn. And I did a few vlogs on my dyeing. Um, what else can I say? I have 2,000, let's say 2,100. Let me get the right number because you know how you say numbers. Yeah, 2,187 subscribers to the channel. I mean, I like that's ridiculous. I don't know who those people are. They might just be robots or something. I don't know that there are 2,000 people watching me, and you can see who watches. I mean, of that, I would say a decent between 10 to 20% show up each time I release a video and watch, and that's incredible. 100 people watch a video that I made. That's amazing. Um, I'm I'm always so humbled. We live in a we live in a time where there are many of these squares. There are many of these offerings. There's a lot to choose from, and time is tight for human beings. So if somebody takes a bit of time out of their day to sit with me, make something while they're sitting with me, um, I always I'm always filled with quite a bit of humility at that and feel absolutely grateful. So that's the other statistic. Let me continue looking what we can see here. I have I have done 2 live streams, which is for me is just insane. And I'm about to do the Zoom, which is another kind of live stream, just that on a different platform. Zoom, I mean, on YouTube Zoom, I call it. I'm using that as a tool, the Zoom app. So that would be 3 live streams. I have several shorts that I did. I took long to get into the shorts, but when I got into them, I kind of enjoy them. And I think I'll be making more. I think I have, how many do I have? I have 12 shorts that I've made. um, they're cute, they're simple. Um, what other statistics can I'm looking at all the stats together because I think it's interesting to look at the stats together. Um, what else? Let's see what's the most popular. So the most popular, that makes perfect sense, was my interview of dear beloved Nomandlovu, who's a local knitwear designer, much beloved, I would say, in South Africa and way beyond. She's ridiculously prolific. I won't introduce her any further. Go watch the podcast. It's my most popular. Um, so, so that's wonderful. And maybe since I'm talking about interviews, I have conducted 3 interviews. The first was of Mincy of Naughty Habit Yarn. The second was Nomandlovu, and the third was Ava Hancock's, who's another knitwear designer. She goes by the tag the Crafty Geo. These were kind of special. I really enjoyed connecting with these incredible women and their work and their craft and their commitment and their tenacity and their creativity, their talent, their genius. So I look forward to doing more interviews. I have a few. I really want to interview the wonderful Yana and Anita of the Yarn Room because I think they have such an incredible story and they offer this beautiful space, the Yarn Room. It's one of the yeah, well, it's not new. I think it's been there a year and a half or maybe even 2 years, but they've just opened new premises, let me put it that way. And it's such a sweet, homely, I've put some links here actually, some images, a space. It's so warm. It's exactly what you want in a yarn store. You can come there, perch in a corner with your project, knit away, and talk if you want to, or just listen. So I love that they've made this space. I guess being an architect, I'm interested in space making and yeah, what does the space mean? And um, I'd love to interview them. I've sort of started, but it's in the making. So there are more interviews coming. I love that aspect of this podcast. I knew I wanted to podcast and talk about my own work, but I always knew that it had to be it's and I'm not also critiquing other kinds of podcasts, but I knew this one would be more than just me because I'm just fascinated by the people around me that are also making people that are much more talented than I am and that I'm learning from. And something that's very sweet for me is the community around crafting, particularly fiber arts, like the kind of the knitting groups and circles and the sort of sweet camaraderie and I just there's a tenderness I think to the way crafters, fiber crafters particularly connect, and I love that. I'm not saying it's all cookies and cream or sweetness and light. It's real as well. Um, so I'm not trying to, force that on the community and say we're all besties, but I think at the very least there's a kind of an I see you that takes place that is quite beautiful. So I love to find that and show it, and I look for ways to do that all the time. Okay, what other stats? I did some knit and chats. My first one, actually, worth a mention, was 4 months ago, and it was about tarot and life stories. And I did like this tarot reading, and that became a bit of a theme in my next knit and chat, which was called "What's Your Relationship to Leisure?" I I did another tarot pull, and have I done any more knit? I think I haven't done any more knit and chat since then, or have I? Let me videos latest. I think that was the last knit and chat. What's your relation to leisure? Oh no no no! Oh, of course. Then I did. Oh no, I've done two more. I did. I did the 36 questions that lead to love, the first 12, and then I did my three finished objects when I talked about my novels, the three novels I have published already. So those are so I've done quite a few knit and chats. So four knit and chats, and more to come. I love that format. I love it's casual. I love that I'm knitting and I'm nattering away. I love watching knit and chats, and so I don't know. Maybe that's why I like making them. I find them easier to sometimes fit into what can often be quite a busy week schedule, and so yeah, I like that it's a, as I like to say, it's a come as you are, and I can come as I am, and you can come as you are, and everyone's welcome, and I including myself in whatever state I find myself in on that day. So those are the niche and chats. Oh my gosh. Um, okay, I think that's enough stats. I think we got the stats. I've told you how many subscribers I have. Oopsie. I've I think those are the main stats. So okay. So what else? As I want to talk about stats, what have I learned? For sure, I've learned the technicalities. I've learned how I edit my own videos. I edit them because everyone's like, "Oh, is your husband helping you?" I mean, he's got his own stuff, guys. He's not. He doesn't help me edit my videos. I edit my videos myself. I edit them on CapCut, and I just taught myself. Actually, I watched one video. If anyone's interested, I won't put it. But if you're interested, I'm happy to share what video. There's so many things helping you with CapCut. It's free. CapCut, at least the basic services you need are free. I think a bit later I paid a nominal amount so that I could bring music in because the CapCut audio library for me was quite limiting. And yeah, I love editing, let me just say. There's an artistry to it. I'm not saying I'm making art, but I am saying that there's an artistry to it that you're thinking, you're making decisions about sound, about light, about frame, about sequence, about pace. Um, I just I just love it. It takes a bit of time, I must say, and yeah, the pattern roundups, which are sort of the most popular, it feels like on knitting YouTube. Boy, do those take some time because you have to get all the pictures in. But I saw a little trick. I was watching. I love her name escapes me, but it's Unravel Studios. I really like her, and I watch all her videos. She's incredibly gifted as well. And sorry, I'm fiddling with my hair as usual. As usual, I'm fiddling with my hair because it's sometimes it doesn't behave. Um, and I saw that it's a screenshot that she takes of the information about that pattern right from Ravelry. So she just screenshots it, and which is better than writing. Anyway, whatever. I've gone a little bit off script, but there are ways I can learn ways to make that be faster. But I don't do too many roundups because I've realized they take time in the edit. Um, but what have I learned? Learning CapCut. I've learned Canva to do my thumbnails. I have learned about music and where to get music and sourcing things ethically. I have learned how to use YouTube because YouTube is its own little thing you have to navigate. How to post, how to fill in the descriptions. Um, I've learned how to understand the video analytics and maybe learn about because the YouTube gives you all the information, who watched and where they're from and how many people are watching in English or needing the subtitles. Interesting information. Maybe not necessarily for me. I'm quite a small channel still, but like people who have lots and lots of viewers, I can see how that information becomes really important. If, for instance, you realize that, oh my gosh, 50% of viewers are not non-native English speakers, okay, then I must really know how to do my subtitles. And I must go, like I always go and fix the subtitles because like I say, my name is Yewande, the subtitles never get that right. So I go and correct the spelling. And that takes time, and then you put all the links into the patterns. And there are probably ways to shortcut this that I haven't done, and my husband might be helpful in that regard. He's a good sort of Excel person who we could create systems that would help me be more efficient. And I'll think about that in the year. But I'm proud of what I've learned, and I'm proud of at least the quality of video I'm able to deliver on a simple iPhone and with decent gear. So I must acknowledge my husband once again for the gear. He bought the mic and a few other doodads, and that helps me deliver, I think, at least a baseline of quality. I'm not saying it's the most, yeah, let me not, anyway. You see how I am, starting to insult my own stuff. Decent, good quality videos, let's say. Um, I've learned to sort of navigate social media. I created my own Knitting the Blues channel on Instagram, and it's coming along. I've got, I don't know, 300 followers, but that's like from zero. I also am there just as Yewande, and that's more, I would say, my personality as a writer, and I have a few more followers there. But I wanted to keep the two worlds, not like I'm hiding the two from each other, but I think they're distinct. And I think I'm not promoting a book right now, but when I'm suddenly promoting a book, I want to have a very clean, clear kind of book persona that I can, use to talk about my work, distinct from my absolute passion for knitting and for fiber arts. So yeah, navigating that, understanding how to promote videos. I don't do it a lot, but the times I have, it does help to, like, if I release a podcast, promote it on Instagram, create a short and promote it on Instagram, things like that. I've done that a few times when I have time. I don't always have the time to do it, but I can see that it can make a difference. And I'm posting much more on Instagram, posting reels and, you know, so that's been fun. And I've learned that as well. I've learned, what else have I learned? I've learned about myself. I'm, this will be funny, but like I'm not a very, I'm incredibly introverted. And I know people are going to be like, eye roll, but I am. I'm, I was very shy as a child and for much of my youth. I'm a real nerd, unless in case you didn't pick that up, and so I've always had my head in books, um, and I've never been sort of the popular center of the stage person at any point in my life, um, and I think over the years I've learned to be public facing and be with others, so I'm not awkward. I think a lot of the awkwardness of my younger years and maybe my teenage years and early adulthood has, left me, and I can, be here and be with you, and it'll be comfortable. It's not going to be weird. But inside, I'm still that quite introverted person. I'm also, another nice clue for introversion is I get energy from being alone. I lose energy from being with others. I mean, that's funny because I always talk about community and I love community, and I do. I love people. I don't have any issue with being with people, but it takes a lot from me to be with people, and I need to come back to myself, and just be with myself, and that is what fills me up. I love my own company. You know, I had children at 40, and I met my husband, I think, a year before I had kids. So, and I was single for most of my 30s, and lived alone. So I'd never. I mean, it got to a point where I was like, okay, I'd like a family now, but I've never suffered being alone. I'm alone, not lonely. I just love my own company. I just enjoy being by myself. Um, and actually, married life and life as a mother of twins has had its challenges because, as you may have guessed, I'm not alone a lot. But we work it out. But I guess I say all that to mean I've learned about myself. I love that I could do this for myself. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm not somebody who ever thought I would come and be on a camera and engage people in this way. I'm quite private. I'm shy. I wouldn't. I'm camera shy as well. And not only camera shy. Like, I always hate images of myself because I just think no. But my mom and I used to argue. This is funny because I'd see a picture. She was a great photographer, and I'd be like, I don't like how I look, and my mother would be like, but that's how you look, Yewande, And I always thought that sounded mean because, like, I'm basically saying I look nasty there, and she's like, that's kind of how you look, girl. But she was right. That is how you look, and I think that in my 40s somehow I've made peace with how I look, who I am, what I have and I don't have. Um, this is me, And I think doing the podcast, I wasn't cognizant of it. It wasn't super conscious, but somehow getting into the podcast was that declaration. This is me, warts and all, you know, and I like me. I like me. I'm okay. I'm okay. I am what I am, and I'm not what I'm not. And maybe it's also just being 40. I know I love getting older. I know that sounds a bit funny, but I love this idea of um, I just feel more and more myself, and like the confidence of that, and the peace and the calm and the quiet of not attempting to be anything else but who I am. And somehow doing the podcast has given me, has been another way to express that arrival. I'm here and I can do this, and it's not a big deal. I don't wear makeup, so I don't get my face ready for the podcast. That's why I come here and start fixing my hair because I didn't get my hair ready for the podcast. Glasses, without glasses, I wear contacts sometimes I don't, and I'm just loving the depth and the profundity of that self acceptance. It's easy for me to take it for granted, but I must remind myself that it hasn't always been there for me. And so I celebrate that. And I've learned that about myself. And I enjoy that. I really enjoy it. I made some more notes. Yeah. Yeah. And I said here, not being significant, like not being, okay, the podcast. That's not how I roll, and I've just loved that for myself. What else have I learned? So I've said, yeah, tech. I've learned about myself and self-acceptance, confidence, commitment. I mean, I'm a pretty committed person. I'm pretty rigorous with myself. And, I've written 3 books. You don't do that. I've been writing this current book over 5 years. You don't maintain a project like that no one's waiting for, by the way. There's no publisher, maybe my agent, but and my family who love me. but ain't nobody waiting. No one's saying, you and where's your book? It's a personal task I have set myself to write this book. And I've over the years, I mean, early years, my kids were young, and so I just didn't have the time. But I did start, I've started 5 years, and of more recent times, I've been able to write more. Let me put it that way. But I've kept that project going. And I'm hoping that we're rounding up. I had finished writing the manuscript, or a version of the manuscript, but it goes through many edits. So let me not shoot myself in the foot by saying I'm done. I'm probably not done. But commitment. Yeah, this is a different kind of commitment because at least a few people are waiting, a handful. I mean, it was quite sweet. Somebody phoned me the other day and said, "Oh, did your video come out? I can't find it." Because I always post on Thursdays, and that day I hadn't managed to post. And I joked with my husband. I said, "Oh, that is the only person of the 2,000 subscribers who misses my video. At least one person misses my video. God bless her, you know." But I do feel accountable. I think if you start something like this, there's a it's a I think of this as a community, and we're in some sort of, I use the word conversation with a small c because it's not fair, because you can't talk back. That's why the Zooms, guys. I will get there. But it's at least an exchange. People comment and say things, and they hear things, and they remember things, and they give me feedback, and they give me suggestions, and they give recommendations, and somebody was so sweet. I did a video. Who was it now? Okay, but like you commented like, "Oh, I saw that your knits are on hangers. Watch out." And it was so nice you said that, because I do put sometimes the knits on hangers, not the heavy sweaters, but your comments, I took notes, and so I took them off the hangers and I folded them. You know what I mean? Um, something. Can you imagine? I've never met you, and I may never meet you in the flesh, and yet there's a level of intimacy to that kind of exchange that I find it so profound in this medium called YouTube. So yeah, commitment. I feel like I have a commitment to this forum, and I feel accountable, and in a way that is, the word I'm looking for is generative. It doesn't weigh on me like a burden, but it's generative. It gives me air. It doesn't take air away. So commitment. What else have I learned? Psychology, I say here. What did I mean? Oh dear. What did I mean by psychology? I don't know, but I'll go on to the next point. If I remember, I'll tell you, because it sounds interesting, but what did I mean? Cryptic notes. And then the last thing I feel I learned is about my immediate community, my family and my friends, the support I've received. I don't do it anymore, but like for the first video, for sure, I pumped that thing. I took the link, I sent it through my entire WhatsApp. I pumped it on my old channel with many more followers. I mean, my Instagram, Yewande Omotosho profile. I pumped it on on Facebook. I think I even put it on Twitter or X when I was still on X. I'm not really on X anymore. But I was just like, okay, God, I gotta, everybody, this is what I'm doing. Help me out. And people were so supportive, so kind. A friend of mine, within days, one friend said, "Oh, got to change the spelling of your name. They got the spelling wrong." Another friend said, "Oh, we got to jazz it up a bit," and da 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 da. And my brother watches. I don't know if he still does, but definitely early days he watched every episode, which I thought was amazing because he does not knit a thing. So yeah, my niece was watching, and I don't know. It was you. I got the sense of support and love, and people wanting me to win, which is, how wonderful is that? That people are just on your side, and I was reminded about that kind of support, and it felt good. So that's part of what I learned. Okay, what psychology? Apparently, I learned psychology, but psychology of what? It says the relationship. What do we mean? Oh, I remember now. Psychology. Yeah. So numbers. Okay. A lot of the YouTube social media world, I mean, it's all about how many followers have you got, how many likes, how many And I noticed I wanted to have a certain kind, I wanted to mediate my relationship to those kinds of numbers. I'm not saying they're not significant. I'm not trying to say that those things don't matter. They do matter. The algorithms, just all kinds of calculations that I could never imagine. You know, if I'm gonna come on YouTube, I've got to play the YouTube game, right? And the YouTube game is uh, understand your numbers. You know, make sure you catch people in the first 10 seconds. You know, you know, there's a certain game, and you play it. You know, within parameters, you can play it within certain parameters. And but I noticed that sometimes I'd be like, oh, nobody's watched that video I posted, and then feel sad. Or I'd be, oh, wow, people watched that video I posted, and feel happy. And I thought, mm, I don't like my mood being regulated by by numbers on a YouTube. Like, partly it's fickle. Of course, partly it does give me some feedback about my content, and maybe I could learn certain things, but I have to hold it lightly. Um, so, for instance, I even created a little ritual for myself where I often post at the end of a week. So I would post the video, and then I just won't go on the channel for, you know, for 5 days. It's not always nice because I love to respond quickly to comments because I just love it when people comment. So I sometimes get a little notification, then I go on and respond. But I'm not, you know, checking the channel. I wasn't ever really doing that, but I can see how you could start to do that because and you're using that to tell you how to feel about what you did or didn't do. And I thought, nah, I don't want to do that like this. I want to do it different. I want to give of myself when I create a video and give of the best that I have that week or that day and end that chapter and do something else the next. And so I loved learning that. I loved learning how to navigate the psychology of this activity. You know, how to feel proud, you know, if I thought like, oh, that's quite a nice accomplishment, but also how to feel proud. Sometimes many people didn't watch, but I've got like 20 comments. I'm like, okay, like 100 people watched and like 20% of those people had something to say. Like, that's amazing. You know, the engagement was amazing. You know, looking for other things to celebrate that aren't only these like big headliner numbers. Do I want lots of viewers and subscribers? Yes, because that's part of the game. But hold it lightly. It doesn't say anything about me. It doesn't mean I'm X or Y. It doesn't mean I'm Z. You have to know how to look at the analytics. Now, I love analytics, so I actually enjoy the very detailed information that the back of house YouTube gives you. You know, it tells you when did they stop watching. It's like, oh, okay, and I love that. I'm like, okay, they stopped watching there. If there's anything I can do to make them watch a bit longer, that's interesting for me. But when I just look at, oh, 500 people watched, what does that mean? It doesn't like, somebody could say, oh, 500 people watched. Damn, how can I get 20,000 to watch? Somebody could say, oh, 500 people watch. Oh my God. Somebody could say 5 people took an hour out of their precious day and sat down and listened to me natter. You know what I mean? So, and I have the same energy with my books, with the books I've written. Like, one person writes to me and says, your book moved me beyond description. And I'm in tears. I'm not lying. And I do get some of those messages. People who are, you know, and it's not a flood of messages. It's not so many that I need to hire someone to reply to my fan mail. Do I feel filled up with joy and humility, pride, I don't know, ecstasy, when I get that one little message of someone saying, I read that thing you wrote and it made a difference? Yes. And I wanted it to be the same with this as well. And it has been. So that's what I meant by psychology. Okay, I remembered. I knew I was onto something. Okay. What next? Okay, let's say, wait. Before I do what next, let me do shout outs. I want to do some shout outs. There are some stalwarts who, from the beginning, and there might be some I don't know because you don't comment, but you're still somebody who watches all the time. So I don't want to exclude you from my sort of Shout out. Um, so I guess the first shout out is just to every single person who's ever watched any video. Just thank you. What an act of generosity, I think, to spend a bit of time with me in this form. What an act of generosity. So thank you. You give me something when you do that. I'm not sure you realize, but thank you. And then there are people who keep returning, and I see you. I see you. It brings a smile to my face every time. There are people who catch me on Instagram. They catch me in the DMs. You know what I mean? There are people they were catching me on the email because I have a Knitting the Blues email that I share, and I see you. I see you, and I say thank you. A shout out, early days, two sisters knitting talking shit. They said nice things about me on their channel, and people heard and started watching, and I think I got a flood of subscribers that way as well. So that was like just sheer luck. And so I do say thank you to them as well. But I've thanked them before, but I guess I'm just mentioning that made a big difference, I believe. I have a lot of people watching from America, and I just think that's what made the difference. So I'm grateful for that. Um, so just a shout out to the community, um, because it's amazing. It's really amazing. If you've done any of the cows that I started, if you're doing any of them, the two cows that I think are or miles that are on are the um, Make It Pink, which is gonna. Ooh, it's getting close though. February. Ooh, I would have finished my Make It Pink, so I'm gonna. Oh God, I need to do a little reminder because I think we'll finish on the 19th of February, which is my mother's birthday. And then I started that in honor in Cancer Awareness Month. And then the new MAL is the Humble Washcloth. So if you've ever done any of those and just made community with me in that way, or if you've come onto the live stream, or yeah, just thank you so much. I see you, and I say thank you. Um, what next? What next? So you may have guessed it, I am wanting to change the regularity of my podcasts. Okay, for 6 months, I've done the every week thing. I can do it. I don't know. I don't think I had to prove that to myself, but there you go. I can do it. I don't want to do it anymore. It does take something in a pretty busy week, and my work is going to get even busier this year. And I really want to push my writing much more this year. My kids are getting older, and I can see that I have a bit more. At the end of the day, I'm not completely finished, because sometimes you just like, I'm done. You put the kids to bed, and you just, droop. I can see that I have more energy, and I want to make use of that. There's so many books lined up in this little head of mine that I need to get out. Short stories, books. I need to finish this one book, but I have like two more waiting to be written, in case you were wondering. And I want to do that. So I want to spend time on some of these other commitments that I have. I want to really, my entrepreneurial mighty tighty company is on hold because I need to really have a breakthrough in formulation. For that breakthrough, I think I need to travel. I need to find experts. I need to educate myself, and I need time to do that. So I want what I imagine. It's not. I don't think I'm going to be a once a month poster. I think I can do more. I think I could do twice a month. It would give me a gap of a week to do other things, to edit. I want to do more vlogs. I love the vlog format, but I think it feels like poetry to me, like visual poetry if you do it really well. And I want to learn to do it better and do more vlogs. The current vlog I'm working on is the making the zucchini dress. I'm almost done with the dress, and then I'll edit the vlog. But that takes care. And I want to be able to do that and not think, oh, I've got to post another video this week, and be able to, I have a week to, prepare my content. So I think in terms of regularity, I will be a 2 a month poster. Maybe I'll do more shorts as a result. I also think that would help grow the channel. I want to say I've kind of been stuck on 2,187. I mean, it's so funny. Sometimes I wake up, it's 2,190. And at the end of the day, it's like 88. I'm like, excuse me, who's unsubscribing? I'm kidding, it's fine. I mean, maybe people joined by mistake or whatever, or they're like, oh, what's this? Oh goodness, okay, this isn't for me. It's fine. Obviously, people ought to leave if it's not their thing. But I haven't quite, like, gone in, like, I've been here in this area for several months. So it'd be nice to do stuff that might grow the channel, maybe what they call like evergreen content. I have so many ideas. I want to do, I think there's an amazing community of yarn dyers and makers and producers in South Africa. There's an incredible history of yarn production actually in this country. And I want to like do a bit more long form, like real journalism and research, and travel a bit maybe to the Eastern Cape and interview, some of the production producers. And I'd love to spend a bit of time like making some content that I think is really informative and is more than just what did I knit this week. I guess I'm a storyteller at heart, so of course I want to tell stories, and I want to have the time to do that and do it more carefully. So I'm saying at a pinch, once a month, but I think that will be insufficient for me based on like all the things I want to do and say. But I have some travel coming up in March, some work travel. I will be away in July, for most of July on holiday, with family. I won't be able to, so there'll be times when I definitely will not be as regular as I've been in the past. But I think that's okay. And I hope you navigate this with me, particularly my stalwarts, and you stick around, for what's coming, because I think some beautiful things are coming. But the regularity will change. What else? What's next? I can't I can't read my own writing. So I said, so regularity. I want to improve my skills. I want to really breathe life into how I make these videos and improve my skills, and take the time, to edit a bit more carefully. Um, I would love to create resources. So, like I was talking about longer form, I would love to create a resource for makers. Somebody did contact me on email. She was going to travel to South Africa. She said, "Oh, do you have any suggestions for where to get yarn and where to go?" And it was quite fun writing back to her and saying, "Okay, try here and go here." And obviously, I mentioned some of the places in Joburg. I don't remember if she was going to Cape Town, but I mentioned some in Cape Town. But I would love to map what we have around us. I would love to knit all the yarn that is here, and not review it as such. I don't want to rate the yarn. I don't feel confident enough, to like rate yarn, but I would love to knit yarn and talk about my experience of making something with that yarn. Of course, that's a lifelong project. I couldn't knit on everything, but um, wouldn't it be nice to have this resource? Maybe I would create it into a spreadsheet, or but have a resource for makers. If anyone coming here and they want to know where to go and what they will find there, or or wanting to, or the history of yarn production. So I want to give back to the community in that way. I look around and I think, okay, what exists already? What's missing? What can I offer to the community? As a chronicler in a way. So, yes, less pressure. I think it would also be less pressure for me. I haven't felt ridiculously pressured, but in a really crazy week where I deliver workshops at work, and then I think, oh, I've got to edit as well, or I've got to record because maybe I hadn't even recorded, and the kids are everywhere, and how do I find an hour of time alone where, and there've been some close shaves, so I think it would relax a bit, and I'm committed to a pressure-free year. I don't know about you. I'm committed to a year where I'm not too pressured, where there's enjoyment, where I can accomplish some of the things I'm out to accomplish, but taking care of myself as I do so. So, what else? I think that's it for now. I think that's it for now. I need to underline this. This is not goodbye. Okay, I'm not going anywhere. It's just that I won't be here every week. I think, and I will ease into that. because I might actually end up posting week after week because I've got going to have the Zukania vlog ready. Yeah, I know that this becomes then you're like, because when you know it's coming, you plan for it and you know when you're going to watch it. If you don't know it's coming, other things get in the way, and so it's likely I might lose some viewers, and that would be unfortunate. But I hope you navigate this with me. Um, if you want, if it's helpful, let me know if it's helpful, because if it's not, I won't do it. But if it's helpful, I can signpost on the community post board, when a podcast is going to be coming out that week, so that you know, okay, she's coming out this week. That takes nothing for me to just write a little message there. If you click the bell, whenever I post, you'll be notified. So that's also another way to make sure that you don't miss anything. Thank you so much. It was a long, kind of chatty episode. In the end, I didn't knit a thing because I was just wanted to be with you. There's a lot coming up. There's the Zukani vlog. Look out for me creating the Zoom. And I want to do a Zoom, and I've now announced the MAL, so let's join the two. It'll be a place you could come to cast on your washcloth and talk about, being part of the make-along, the Humble Washcloth make-along. Could also just be a place where you come to connect and chat, and I would love to see you there. I will look for a date in my calendar. Because of my American viewers and time zones, I think I will do it in the evening or night for South African time, so that anybody on the other side of the world can join and it's not too crazy a time. And I just think a Friday or a Saturday night is best. Actually, a Saturday night is best, because Friday, if you're working in the States, you won't be able to join because you'll be at work. So a Saturday night is good, because if it's daytime and Saturday, you could be free. So I think we'll do that. We'll do it. It'll be a Saturday night. So I'll look for a free Saturday coming up. And I also have to figure out the tech for Zoom, because it's a little different. But I'll do all that, and then I will announce it. Maybe do a little short announcing it. What else is coming up? There's fun stuff I want to do. I talked about those long form videos. That's real storytelling. So I have to kind of storyboard that and work it out. But I want and reach out to some of these yarn producers and say, I'd love to tell a story about this, and travel, to some of those places. I had talked already about alpaca. I've forgotten what she called herself, but there's a woman called Di who farms alpaca in the outskirts of Joburg, and I need to reach out to her. I haven't yet. The year started and I haven't gotten around to texting her and saying, okay, let's pick a date. I'd love to come and just experience your farm and meet the alpacas and talk to you and interview you. So that's coming. It's still coming, I promise. I wanted to do some color therapy conversation, and I actually got a very nice link from a viewer, and I just need to follow it up. So it's a bit like having a whole separate life, the things I want to do for the podcast. Unfortunately, it's on the side of the side of the side. And so I do it as time allows. But there's some fun stuff that I have planned for this year. I'll also come online occasionally and just say, this is what I'm working on. As I said, I'm going to do the La Sienne vlog because I think it's a special sweater. And I've got a bunch of cast-ons. So I'm going to have to do a normal podcast where I just come on and say, here's how it's going, guys. Every now and then I'll do the cast-on challenge because I kind of love that. And yeah, I'll see you around. I will see you around. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you've been working on something. I wish you, just cozy times and safe times. And I say to you, take care. Bye for now.